Hey folks, this episode of the podcast is brought to you by Urban Lounge, located at 241 South, 500 East in downtown Salt Lake City. Go to theurbanloungeslc.com to find out about all of the bands playing there very soon.
Showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people, making Salt Lake City what it is today. It's time for another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 101 of the I Am Salt Lake podcast. My name is Chris Hollifield. Welcome to my show. Welcome to the podcast where I introduce you to locals, professionals, everyday people in Salt Lake City that are making the city what it is today. This episode, I sat down with a local author, podcaster, and radio show host, Zack Shutt. He wrote the book Blogs of Wrath with Todd Nuke'Em. He's also developed web and mobile apps for MTV, VH1, CMT, and Wendy's. He was also in the beginning days of the Geek Show podcast, kind of helped get some of that off the ground. And I'm going to be playing that conversation with Zack here in just 1 second. Really quickly, a few things I want to mention. I was recently on KU Radio, Old U Radio with Johnny and Sasha. Thank you so much, Johnny and Sasha, for inviting me on your show. If you'd like to catch that conversation, feel free to head on over to iamsaltlake.com/KU Radio, and you can listen to the interview that they had with me right there online. It was a really great opportunity for the microphones to get turned a little bit and for me to get asked the questions. Really great time, so thank you very much. Make sure to check OLU Radio out as well. Also, I want to mention this week, SLC Comedy Carnival begins September 17th to the 21st. You can listen to the interview that I had with Christopher and Andrew if you just go to episode 96. That's iamsaltlake.com/96. Catch the interview I did with them. Go to slccomedycarnival.com. Find out the whole schedule right there. A lot of great local comedians, traveling comedians. It's going to be a really good time. 5 days of comedy. I'm going to be there with my podcasting gear doing interviews. If you'd like to say a few words, come up, say hello. I'd love to bring you on the show. So hopefully I'll catch you guys there and keep you guys up to date on everything going on. Make sure to follow me on the Facebooks and Twitters and all of that. Keep you guys up to date on everything going on with that. So with that being said, I'm going to jump right now into that conversation that I had with Zack Shutt. Went over to his place. We sat down, had a really great conversation. Here it is. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast. Why don't we just kind of start at the beginning?
Cool.
Kind of introduce yourself and anything you care to share. We'll start kind of at the beginning of what
sounds good.
What it is you've done,
okay,
and what you do. Who's Zack?
Zack is Zack's a guy who I guess he's a radio fanboy. I would probably first and foremost. That's kind of where I started. Just fanboy ever since I was like 14 of Radio from Hell, X96, all that stuff. So that's kind of where I started.
Now, when you say fanboy, like listening or working?
Listening and then working. I think it starts with the listening. Like I would record everyone's shows, Radio from Hell, 14-year-old kid, just to listen back to and be like, oh, that's so funny. Before they had podcasting, of course. So big fanboy. And then I actually wrote an email to Todd Nuke'Em at X96 and met him and kind of started working with X96 as an intern.
So talk about that a little bit. I mean, what did you do in the beginning and through how long did you work at X96?
I was at X96. I started as an intern when I was, I think, about 15, 16.
Oh, so pretty young.
Yeah, really young. Wow. I think I was like
after school you would go there?
Yeah,
or did
I'm pretty sure it was illegal. I'm not quite sure. I don't think it was legal what I was doing. But started when I was like 15, 16 and basically reading emails for Todd Nuke'Em. So I was basically his personal slave. So that was fun. And then just kind of moved up from there. And
did you get a chance to DJ at all?
I did, yeah. I did. I think I got my first chance when I was like 17, 18.
And what, like, did you have a show or just kind of fill in, or
just kind of fill in? And then I did midnight to 6 a.m. for a little while. So that was
the brutal shift.
It was brutal, man. Yeah, you no sleep, man. It was crazy. But
so from X96. What did you do after that? I mean, we even talked a little bit about you started doing some stuff with Geek Show. When did that come into the picture?
I was about 17, 18, and Kerry Jackson came up to me and said, hey, so I do this thing on the radio called Geek Chat, I think is what it was called at the time. And he's like, I want to do a podcast. You think you can help me out with that?
So you were at the very beginning stages of that.
Yeah. Like we literally registered the domain. We did all that stuff. Like Like drove to Guitar Center, picked out microphones. I was like, holy crap, I'm in a car with Kerry Jackson. It's pretty cool. Like, it was fun, yeah.
So was he looking to you for advice on how to podcast?
Yeah, because I had done it in the past, and it was just stupid stuff with my friends. You know, I'm 17. I don't really have a lot to say, but it was. I think he knew that I had the ability to do a podcast, so he was like, hit this kid up. And
this was back when nobody was podcasting.
Nobody,
right? Yeah. I mean, there was probably a few, you know, just to figure out how to get it on iTunes was probably a struggle.
Right.
You know, there isn't the services like there is today, you know,
right,
Libsyn and stuff like that, you know, what makes it so easy to podcast. So you teamed up with him, or he had you help him get Geek Show going. Did you continue like at all? Were you a panelist at all, or were you just doing recording or just?
I was recording, and sometimes I'd jump in. I mean, whenever they talk about Olivia Munn, I like to jump in because she's pretty hot. But other than that, I was pretty background guy, whatever.
Yeah, just audio stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
So I did that for a while, and then I think about 2010, I was let go because I was working at X96 as their web guy. I was doing all their development stuff, and they had some cutbacks, so I was let go, and then Geek Show kind of went away from me after that. So that was kind of.
Who was part of Geek Show at that time, back when you were doing it? I mean, it wasn't who they obviously have.
No, it was
Shannon, probably.
Jeff, Scott, Carrie, of course, and then Jimmy actually started coming to Geek Show with me at the beginning, and then they eventually made him a panelist because he was so freaking funny.
Yeah, yeah, great guy.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So
I mean, you probably enjoy. I mean, that had to be a blast.
Oh, it was fun. I was like 19 years old, man. It was like the best thing ever. It's like a rock star. Cool.
Let's back up a little bit. You mentioned some podcasting you were doing. What podcast? Like, what was the first podcast you did?
It was like it's such a dumb name. I can't remember. It was like the Zack Shutt show or something like that. Like, just terrible.
That's not dumb. That's your name.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was like it could be on late night TV and get canceled in a season. It was that bad. It was pretty terrible.
And what were you doing? What was the show about?
Just talking to my buddies. You know,
just hanging out.
Hanging out. Yeah, it was a good time.
How many episodes did you get into that? Probably.
We actually got in a lot. I was pretty surprised with that one. We were like 70 episodes in, and then you got to go to school and stuff, so it ended up dying off. It was like a summertime show. We did over summer vacation. So,
and what I mean, while we're talking about podcasts that you've done, what other podcasts have you done?
I did Zach Has a Show, and that was about 2 years ago. And that was cool. I did that with my buddy from Jersey. That was awesome. That was a lot of fun. We just talked to random people and a lot of prank calls. It was kind of weird. Felt like I was 16 doing that show. So we do a lot of like KSL classified prank calls and stuff. It's pretty good. But did So I Married a Geek with my wife here, Jordan. Did that show. That lasted for a while, and then we started fighting too much and couldn't do this show anymore. Never do a podcast with your wife.
You don't think, huh?
No, that's a terrible idea.
I listen to a few podcasts with wives, so, right. And I mean, it seems like they have a good time, but
I guess
it seems that way. I guess on recording. Then afterwards,
they're sleeping in separate beds. I would imagine.
yeah. So I mean, have you thought? I mean, why not a podcast now?
I'm actually thinking about it. I was doing a radio show at 101.9 The End for a while, and that recently was canceled because now they're doing classic rock or something like that. So I'm thinking of doing another podcast.
And now, when were you working with The End then?
I've been doing that for the past 2 years, just kind of part-time, just for fun. It's not my day job or anything. It was just, I'd go in, record my show, and then come home. So
it wasn't a live show then?
No, it wasn't. It was all voice tracked. Yeah.
And what was that show? Just music, you talking?
Music, me talk, say something witty, and then play the Killer's record or something. Yeah,
like an entire record.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, I mean, we could do some crazy stuff. I think that's why we got canceled.
Yeah.
It was good.
So, I mean, what is your current day job, if you mind talking about that?
Yeah, sure.
Don't you work with PC Laptops?
I do. Yeah, I'm the marketing officer at PC Laptops. So any of the crazy TV ads that you probably don't like, I'm responsible for those. So I do all that, and I work a lot with Dan over there, Dan the Laptop Man, and it's fun.
Do you repair computers at all? Do you have like any of that knowledge?
I mean, I used to when I was like 14, but I honestly have no idea how to fix a computer. If you paid me, I could not do it. It's so hard. I don't know how to do it at all anymore. It's pretty crazy.
But he's pretty brilliant over there.
Oh man, he's a smart guy, smart businessman. Yep.
Yeah. So you is that kind of that's all you do
that's
really right now?
That's a bread and butter.
Is
yeah,
PC
that's
laptops.
I do some voiceover stuff, but that's mainly it. Yep.
Yeah. And did you go to school for any of that? What'd you go to school for?
You know what? I made it 6 months at Salt Lake Community College, and I was like, man, I can't do this. I was all self-taught, everything.
Really?
So yeah.
Really. Mm-hmm. So moving on a little bit. You wrote a book.
I did, yeah.
Blogs of Wrath.
Yeah, and I actually started that when I was 14, 15. It was when I first met Todd Nuke'Em at X96, and we wrote that book together. And he read my blog, and he's like, man, you go through some weird stuff, because I was getting kicked out of school. I was a pretty crazy kid. And he's like, we should write about this. We should put it in a book.
So before the book, there was an online blog.
There was.
Was it called? I mean, what was the title of that blog?
It was like ZackShutt.com or something.
There you go with your name again.
Very self. Yeah, I just don't know what's going on.
So you were writing a blog, 14, 15 years old, just about your life?
Yeah, just about, what's going on at that point in my life. It was kind of interesting. My family was adopting a kid from Russia. So that was kind of interesting. And I was getting kicked out of school for being
Where were you going to school?
I was going to Farmington Junior High.
Farmington.
Yep, Davis County.
I lived in Farmington for a couple of years. I'm sorry. No, I actually liked it up there. It was close enough to Salt Lake, but far enough. And at that time, it was kind of nice to be out of the city.
Right,
you know? But
it's changed a little bit.
But I could imagine. I mean, 14. I mean, how many years ago was that? Probably, if you don't mind me asking.
Almost 10.
10 years. A lot has changed.
Yeah,
a lot has changed. So I could imagine getting into trouble. So, the book for people listening that haven't read it.
Yeah, it's a great book for kids, like adolescents, teenagers. Obviously, I wrote it as a teen, so it was meant for people who are teenagers. And it's just about growing up in Utah, maybe with people who don't share the same beliefs as you. It's kind of it's an interesting book, and it gets you through adolescence, and it says, maybe things aren't so bad after all. I mean, it's a hopeful book.
So you wrote it as well as Todd wrote some of it too, or what did Todd contribute?
It's kind of interesting. I would write like maybe a couple chapters, email it back to him. He'd read it, say, okay, I can add to that. And then we just go back and forth, and then we'd have a book.
And so back up a little, and you might have mentioned this. He came to you, said, "Hey, let's do a book." And
right. It was shortly after I actually reached out to him and said, "Hey, I'm a huge fan. I love X96. Here's my blog. You should check it out." And I noticed you write books, because he was writing books.
Okay, because this was back before you even interned for X96.
Yeah, way before. Yeah. So he liked what the blog was about, and we went from there. It was good.
And can people pick the book up here locally? Is it sold locally? I know it's on Amazon.
It is. Yeah. King's English, I think, has some copies, and then Graywell used to stock them. I don't know if they do anymore, but you should definitely try.
Try it there. And if I read correctly, you can get it like for your Kindle, like an ebook or something.
Yeah,
you
it's download like $3. Yeah, it's a good
download
investment.
it that way and read it that way. I mean, what's been the response been like? I mean, have you gotten positive feedback?
It's been really
with
good. It was kind of weird, because it came out when I was about 19 years old, and it was interesting to see feedback from people across the country, like in other states, that were like, man, this was really helpful. It helped me get through junior high school, whatever. It was weird as a 19-year-old to get that feedback. It's pretty awesome.
And I mean, obviously people can relate, when you say getting through your adolescence. It's not even just talking about, the religion, obviously,
not at
here
all.
in Utah, the dominant religion of, Mormon, stuff like that. So, now, did you grow up Mormon?
I was raised Mormon.
You were raised Mormon?
Yep. And I kind of struggled with that through adolescence and ended up leaving the church. But, for the most part, I really enjoy what Mormonism instills in terms of family values.
It does.
And stuff. It's great.
It does. Mm-hmm. So did you take classes for writing, or self-taught with writing, or just always enjoyed writing?
Yeah, always enjoyed writing. I think one of the things that helped me with writing, and Stephen King says this in one of his books, is that the thing that will help you most with writing is actually just reading. I mean, you just read a lot. It'll help you be the best writer ever. So.
Do you read a lot of books now?
I wish I did. I actually don't. I kind of slacked off a little bit, but I read a little bit here and there. Not as much as I'd like to. But
who are some of your favorite authors? Do you have any favorite authors?
Chuck Palahniuk. It's probably one of my favorites, and Stephen King. I mean, even to this day. I mean,
he's a brilliant writer. I mean, I think he's a little. Obviously he gets I don't know, that overrated kind of, Stephen King, he can't write a good book, but I mean, brilliant writer.
He is a brilliant writer. He's a brilliant guy too. Yeah. It's really awesome.
Do you plan on writing any books here in the near future? Have you thought about that anymore?
I've thought about it. I actually, as a kid, and I mentioned this earlier, I spent a lot of time getting into trouble. So I spent, a couple months in like juvenile detention. I was pretty much locked down. So
you were a bad kid.
I got into some trouble. Yeah, I did.
Is it safe to be around you right now? I mean,
I think I'm okay. I mean, I think I've made it. I've survived.
Yeah, you survived. You're doing all right.
Yeah, I think I want to write another book. I really like the whole adolescent thing and trying to help kids that are maybe having a hard time. Because I mean, you don't have to be like that the rest of your life.
Have you thought about like creating a career out of helping adolescents at all? Like,
I have.
Even working in like juvenile detention or?
Yeah, I did a thing at Salt Lake Library a couple of years ago to help kids that were having problems by helping with Blogs of Wrath and giving out some free copies. So I've thought about that before.
What about, have you heard of Spy Hop? They're locally, and I don't know a lot about them, but I know they help like youth out.
I've actually explored that too. I think that's a great thing, option for kids that are interested in doing that type of stuff.
Do you think it's tougher to be a youth here in Salt Lake or in Utah area than in other states?
Sometimes. I think it's just hard being a kid sometimes.
Just being a kid in general. Yeah. I mean, it's rough growing up, man.
It's tough, man.
And you got to pat yourself on the back that you came out all right.
Right. Yeah.
So the book's self-published, or did you get a publisher for it?
It's self-published, but it was picked up by the self-publisher's imprint. It's called iUniverse Star. It sold reasonably well, so they picked it up and started to market it around the country. So it's pretty good.
What was like the most challenging thing for you with doing the book? I mean, was there obstacles that you hit? Or
I think the hardest thing was it's hard to market a book like that sometimes. It's hard to market a book that's not about vampires, not about wizards and stuff like that. And
you could have added some wizards.
I could have. Now that I think about it, it may have been a good marketing idea. But it's tough to do a book like that and have it picked up when it's not the hot thing. So I think that was maybe something that was hard to market.
Did you go on like any kind of book tour or anything?
Locally, we did King's English. We did a bunch of gray whales. We did all the gray whales up and down, and it was fun. It was good to see like the local turnout, but we never left Utah.
Do you ever get people, you're at a bookstore, oh my gosh, that's Zack Shutt. No. I need his autograph.
No.
Come on.
And maybe at Olive Garden once. That's about it.
Did you really?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll never forget it.
Somebody came up to you in Olive Garden.
Oh yeah.
Share that story.
Yeah,
what happened?
I was enjoying the pasta Alfredo, I think, something like that, and came up and said, "Oh my gosh, you wrote Blogs of Wrath," and I was like, "I can't believe you're actually. That's very cool." And shook the person's hand, and it was awesome. It was really cool because I don't really get that. They
didn't have the book with them for you to sign or anything. How weird would that have been? They pulled it out of their purse. They had it with them, and they had all these marked, highlighted areas of. Well, I can really relate with this what you wrote. What do what are your thoughts?
I would have left. Ooh, this is weird.
You would have left. What about for people interested in writing? What tips would you give them? That they say they wanted to publish a book. What I'm sure you learned a few things.
Yeah, I would say in terms of writing the book itself, read a lot of books. Just read a ton. That'll help you so much with writing because being creative sometimes is tough when you're you almost have to force yourself to do it, to sit down and write. Say you're going to get out a couple pages today and just set a schedule for when you're going to write. It sounds like you need to conform to it, but at the same time, it helps you get through that process.
Just like 10 minutes a day, something like that. Journaling,
stuff
like that. Let's back up a little bit back to like podcasting and radio. You've learned a lot with that, obviously, and I should have got a little more into it when we were talking about it. But what about advice for that, for people that are interested in maybe doing something with radio or even podcasting?
Radio's interesting. I've met a lot of people that want to get in the radio, and they say, well, what do I do to get in the radio? And the biggest thing I would say is
don't get into radio.
Don't get into radio.
Yeah. I mean, do you think radio's pretty dead or what?
Well, it's having a hard time right now, I think, because no one is taking the time to recreate what radio used to be, and it was a personal connection that people had. And right now these larger media companies buy up smaller stations and put on syndicated shows. And I don't think
now what do you mean a personal connection? Like a personal connection with the DJs, with the host, kind of like Radio from Hell,
right? Yeah.
You get this relationship with Carrie and Gina and Bill, and you're like, I want to listen to them. I want to find out what they're up to.
Yeah. And it's no wonder they've been so successful because that's something that's missing right now. That's not really there. So I would say with radio, I mean, prepare to eat a lot of ramen if you want to go into radio. And I mean, it's a tough industry. It's really tough right now. So podcasting is definitely the way to go if you really have something to say and you want to say it. That's the avenue to do.
And what advice would you give somebody who wants to start a podcast?
Just do it.
And and that's actually the number one thing I hear. And I mean, that's what I heard myself. And that's why I was like, all right, I'm just going to do it. You learn each episode you put out, you figure it out, what equipment to buy. I mean, any other pieces of advice besides that?
Man, I would say the biggest thing is, and we kind of talked about this a little bit before we started recording, but consistency. And it's something I've struggled with, so I'm not the person to give this advice, but I know it to be true. To consistently come out with episodes and just keep going at it. Even if you don't see the downloads, it's very important to be consistent. Yeah,
well, and it's interesting. I just thought of this actually. We both know Eric from Mediocre Show. He texted me one time and he's like, I appreciate your consistency with your podcast.
Yeah.
He says, there's so many I listen to. They're just so sporadic.
Yeah.
You can't, I know how it is for me. If there's one I listen to and it doesn't come out very often, I just get frustrated. And sometimes I unsubscribe.
Yeah.
Do you listen to a lot of podcasts?
I do. I like Mark Maron. I love Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's one of my
How
favorites.
do you, I tried to listen to Joe Rogan.
Really?
His podcasts are just too long.
There's a lot of ads, it seems like. I have to skip a lot of ads. He talks about, I guess he started 1 million companies with supplements, and it's tough to get past all that. But for the most part, his genuine content isn't that bad. It's pretty good.
Any others? Are those kind of your bread and
those
butter?
Those are the big ones. I like the I Am Salt Lake podcast. I've heard so much.
Who is that goofy guy, right?
Good dude, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually still listen to Geek Show every now and then, weirdly enough. And
why is that weird?
Oh, I don't know. We had a little bit of fallout, Carrie and I, but I think that's a great show.
It is.
It's a great show.
And they were, they just recorded at Comic-Con. I saw some pictures. Stan Lee, I guess,
hobbled on over.
Yeah, I can't wait to listen to that episode.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. I love Geek Show. I like, of course, Eric Tomorrow's podcast, Mediocre Show. It's awesome. Yeah, love it.
What about audiobooks? Do you get into audiobooks at all?
Not really.
So you don't read or audiobooks? Come on.
I mean, I read a little bit. Audiobooks it's very tough for me because I'm very critical of the person that's narrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What motivates you as a person to keep doing what you're doing? Like to keep centered?
That's tough. That's a really good question, actually. I think it's the fact that there's so many other things to do. Like it seems like with podcasts or radio or whatever, there's always something to do. I mean, there's always a podcast to start or a project to begin and a book to write. I mean, there's a million options. So it really keeps me going.
What, is there like anything in life that kind of keeps you driven?
That
your wife,
that lady over there, helps a lot.
Yeah. It's good to have somebody in your life that kind of keeps you grounded. What are some of your other hobbies and interests? What else do you enjoy? I mean, I see some guitars here. Do you play music at all? Or?
I try. I actually started doing guitar a couple years ago, and that's been fun. So far I can do the E, A, D, G chords. That's pretty impressive.
You do a few power chords. You got yourself a punk band,
right? Exactly. So I do that, and then I also have a crazy garden in the backyard that I'm trying to get a hold of, and just trying to use my hands a little bit, be less of a nerd and learn how to garden, so.
And you grew up here in Salt Lake area, or did you grow up in Farmington kind of?
Grew up in Farmington and Woods Cross, actually. So I grew up there, and it's kind of crazy growing up in Davis County because I never really felt like I fit in there. So
why is that? Just
I don't know. Just not really my
Were you
my
kind
crowd.
of a punk rock guy in your youth, or
kind of? I was more like the ska guy. I like
ska guy.
I like Real Big Fish. I was into all that, and it was just didn't really fit in that much. I don't think.
And did you find many people up there to relate with, or not really?
Not really, other than Todd Nuke'Em. I mean, that dude really he really helped.
Yeah, because you were pretty young when you kind of met up with him.
Yeah, and he lived kind of in the same area. He lived in Woods Cross and Farmington, so we kind of lived side by side there for a while.
Yeah,
it's a good mentor.
So living in Salt Lake, I mean, you're in the Salt Lake area now. What are some of your overall favorite things about living? I ask this to everybody I bring on the show.
Sure.
Overall, what do you like about Salt Lake?
I love my neighbors, to be honest. We just moved to the Avenues, and
beautiful area.
It's awesome. And the neighbors, I mean, it's so awesome.
Do they bring you cakes and treats? Is that what you like them?
Even better, they bring wine.
They bring
I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great.
They are wine drinkers.
They
in
are
the
wine
avenues.
drinkers, yeah. So I've really liked just the community, the overall sense of community here has been awesome.
How long have you been up in the avenues? In pretty recent?
Actually, a couple months.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. So
long.
You're welcome to the neighborhood.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah,
we're
it's
actually
awesome.
pretty close.
We're like neighbors. Yeah.
Yeah. So you like the avenues? I mean, do you hit up many of the events? Summer's kind of wrapped up here now, but do you take advantage of many of the events in Salt Lake over the summer?
We do. They had, I guess, an Avenues fair.
Did you go to that?
We did. That was pretty
I
cool.
didn't go to that.
Was awesome.
I've heard it's kind of a bust.
That was all right.
It was all right. You had fun?
Coming from Davis County, I thought it was a blast.
Yeah.
I thought it was awesome. Yeah. No, it's been good. I really like it here. Yeah.
So would you change anything about Salt Lake? Is there anything you would like to see different?
I really like those green bikes they have downtown. I think those are awesome. Maybe different colors.
Did you check those out?
I did. I actually rode one from Squatters, and man, those are awesome.
Yeah, I did it one time. It's fun. It's the only thing I don't like about it is how you have to check it in every 30 minutes. Otherwise, your credit card gets charged.
It's kind of lame.
I wish they gave you an hour.
That'd be nice.
Just a little bit more of a gap there. I don't know. I maybe I stress too much.
It's fun though. You can pop a wheelie on the city bikes pretty easy.
But it's nice to get around bar to bar. Bar hop a little bit. Do you hit up many of the bars downtown? Do you have any favorite local spots, local restaurants?
A little bit. I'm like an old guy, so I don't really go to bars. But I like Saffron over here, the Indian. Food.
Yeah, right.
That's awesome, man. That's really good.
Delicious food.
Love that place. In terms of bars, I still like Keys on Main. That's fun. I like to do that. That's good. It's a good time.
Any other eating spots that you enjoy?
Man, I'm trying to think. I don't really know. Squatters.
You're home. You must eat at home.
Oh yeah, we cook a lot. That's what we
pretty
try to
big
do.
cook.
A little bit. I mean, we can microwave things if that counts. Yeah, that's good.
Cooking a roast right now.
It's like one of my first roasts. I'm actually kind of nervous. So.
What time's dinner?
I don't know, 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
More than welcome to join us.
So what's in store for Zach? I mean, what do you have any projects that you want to talk? I mean, we kind of touched on that. Books. Stuff like that. I
think we're going to see, I want to do a podcast coming out here pretty soon, and start to do that. It's been a while since we've done the podcasting thing, so got some extra time, so I want to do a podcast. You know what? Actually, I meant to touch. You did some apps or something. I was reading on your website. You did some apps for MTV and VH1. We didn't get into that. Yeah,
what's that all about?
I still do work for MTV, VH1, and CMT. I do a lot of their websites for syndicated radio shows. So I program all those, build all the apps for them, and
like iPhone apps,
iPhone, Android, all that stuff. Yeah. It's
how'd you get teamed up with them? I mean, that's ridiculous.
One of the guys that worked at the country station here in Salt Lake ended up getting his own syndicated show, and he said to MTV, "Man, this Zack guy is awesome. You guys should totally hire him to make some apps for us." And ended up working out, and it's been a pretty.
What about Wendy's? I saw Wendy's on there.
Oh yeah,
is that just because you like their burgers? Or
no,
what?
I actually did. It was so weird. I used to do flash games for Wendy's, and I did a Find the McNugget game, or I guess they don't call them McNuggets. Wendy's Nuggets. McNuggets or McDonald's. So I did a couple of games for them that they used in promotions. So that was good. It was fun.
So can people, say someone's listening, hire you to do that kind of stuff?
Man.
If they want you to make an app or.
Yeah, I do websites, programming, anything like that. You can just go to zackshutt.com. Good luck spelling it.
Yeah. So and I'll put the notes in the show notes. I mean, how else can people find you? I mean, can people connect with you at all on Facebook? Or I actually just found you on Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter, Facebook, anything.
Are you a pretty big Twitter guy?
I like Twitter so far. I wasn't into it at the beginning, but now I'm kind of digging it. It's pretty cool.
What do you like? You say in the beginning. What didn't you like?
I don't know. Curious. I was so attached to Facebook because I could go on tirades on Facebook. You're not limited to 140 characters.
But that makes it.
Exactly.
That kind of gives it its challenge.
And I've learned that. I'm like, okay, all right, this is kind of a challenge. It's pretty cool. So I'm into Twitter now. It's awesome.
Pretty big deal there. Yeah. What about Pinterest? Is that your next step?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I refuse to Pinterest.
So I'll put all the links to get in touch with you. Reach out. ZackShutt.com is a website.
Sweet.
Do you got a motto or piece of advice, something that you care to end the show with, a tidbit from Zack?
Oh man, I don't know. Don't be a dick.
Don't. That's the best.
Is that good?
That's the best place to end the show. Thank you very much,
cool.
Zack,
Thanks,
for sitting down. I enjoyed talking, and we'll catch up down the road.
Thanks, man.
What a great conversation with Zack Shutt. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Find all the show notes at imsaltlake.com 101. I'm going to put his Facebook, Twitter, website, all the links right there. Let him know you heard him on the podcast. Let him know what you thought. I'd love to know what you guys thought as well at 385-202-5926. That's the voicemail for the podcast. It is always open, so feel free to give it a call. I'd love to hear some feedback. Also love to hear what you guys love about living in Salt Lake City. Again, the voicemail line, 385-202-5926. Really quickly, I want to read a recent iTunes review that I've received. BPope52 writes, I feel this is a great podcast and feels like it should be a syndicated radio show. Chris keeps the show rolling with great questions and it flows quite organically. Just listened to a bunch of episodes and must say episode 98 is my favorite. Thanks for the shout out, Taylor. Glad you think I'm funny. Everyone in SLC should check this out. It really outlines everything this great place is about. Thank you very much, B-Pope, for leaving that review. Again, you can go to imsaltlake.com/iTunes if you want to leave a review. It helps boost our ratings, gets us exposed to more people, and is very much appreciated. If you would like to be a guest on a future episode of the podcast, get in touch with me. I'd love to hear what you're all about. I'd love to hear what you're doing in Salt Lake City. Really quickly, I'm going to end the show here with a song by The Weekenders. They're playing a show Friday, September 20th at the Urban Lounge. You're going to want to check that out. It's going to be a great show with the North Valley and the National Parks. I'm going to play Hard Woman by The Weekenders. And with that being said, make sure to check me out. I should be back again on Thursday with a brand new episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast. This is Hard Woman, The Weekenders. Thanks so much for listening.
Change.